I should probably say at the outset, I don't at all support President Biden's mandate order yesterday that he announced. Companies with 100 or more employees, these companies got to make sure all their employees are vaxxed. I don't support that. And look, I find this to be a fascinating debate. I'm sure most of you agree with me. I've never lived through this. Have you? Raise your hands out there if you've lived through a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. Let me see those hands. I never have. I wasn't around in 1917 or 1918. I wasn't. So I've never lived through this. I've never lived through a time where the entire world was shut down by a virus, where businesses needed to shut down, restaurants needed to shut down, where we all needed to wear masks and we all needed to social distance, and now we all need to get vaccinated. I've never lived through a time like this, and I suspect damn near everybody listening to me right now, you haven't lived through this either. And what's fascinating about that point, I don't want to get too down into the weeds here. None of us have lived through this, but we're all experts. I'm an expert. You're an expert. Everybody with an iPhone is an expert. Everybody on Twitter is an expert. We're all experts. We all know what needs to be done. We all know what needs to be done. We all know what's constitutional. We all know how to stop the virus. We all know how to get the economy moving again. We all know whether we should wear masks or not. We all know how effective the vaccines are or not, because we're all experts. We go on Facebook every day. I'm an expert. I tweet shit every day. I'm an expert. Isn't that funny? We're living through something we've never been through before. None of us have ever experienced. But yet, we know the answers. Biden's wrong, Joe. Trump was right, Joe. How do you know? We know. I know. Look at what my buddy posted on Facebook. It goes both ways. I know it seems like there's more stupid on the right, on the mega right, on the Trump supporting mega right, and there is. I come from that world. I can say it. There's more stupid on the mega right, but there's plenty of stupid around. There really is. I find that to be fascinating, though. And that's a topic for another day. Because this pandemic is still with us right now. By the way, 665,000 Americans are dead, more than in the Civil War. You ain't never lived through this. I ain't never lived through this. We're losing think about this, all right? The 20th anniversary of 9/11. We are losing a 9/11, right? Every other day. Every 2 days. America loses the equivalent of what we lost on 9/11. Every 2 days. Did you know that? But we're all experts. I sounded off yesterday like an expert when Joe Biden came out and announced his new attack on COVID, a few new executive orders, a few new economic moves that I don't want to get into right now. I want to focus on his executive orders. I want to focus on one executive order. And I just want to say at the outset, before I try to make the point I want to make with this episode of Fuck Silence, I just want to say that I do not support the government forcing private companies to require their employees to be vaccinated. And that, in essence, that's what Biden proposed yesterday. He took it one big leap forward. Look, Biden mandating that everybody in the military gets vaccinated. Got no problem with that. You're in the military. You work for the government. Get vaccinated. Joe Biden, president, announcing that everybody who works in the federal government needs to be mandated. He has that authority. You work in the federal government. You contract with the federal government. Damn right. You want to contract and do work for the federal government. You need to get vaccinated. To me, that's all in the purview. I've got no problem with the government telling people who work in the government, you got to get vaccinated. Biden went a step beyond that yesterday. He said the government can and is going to force private companies of a certain size, 100 employees or more, to require their employees to be vaccinated. By the way, again, the power that he's claiming to have here is his emergency powers under OSHA. And again, I see you, all you Trump supporters out there who applauded when Trump said, we got an emergency at our border, so I'm going to build a wall and just fucking ignore the Constitution and all laws and rules and everything, and I'm going to build a wall because there's an emergency. Remember when Trump did that? There's an emergency at our border, so screw the Constitution, screw whatever authority I have. I'm doing it. I'm building a wall. And Trump supporters applauded. But look, the COVID is a you could certainly make the argument is more a legit emergency than what was going on down at the border when Trump claimed he had these powers to unilaterally grab money and build a wall. I can see that argument, but that's in essence what Biden said yesterday. We have these emergency regulations, these OSHA regs that allow me to make sure that everybody has a safe and healthy workplace. So because of that, I am going to force private employers to require their employees be mandated. By the way, if it's an emergency, if it's an emergency and that is what the Biden administration is going to claim when they make the case that they have this authority to force private companies to do something. And they'll make that argument in court because you can bet your bottom dollar this thing's going right to court. And by the way, the specific orders need to be written up. And so I'm as guilty as everybody else. Yesterday, when Biden came out and said this right away, I said, that doesn't sound constitutional to me. I don't think he has the authority to do that. I haven't seen the reg. The order hasn't been drafted yet. So I jumped the gun. But if it's an emergency, why is Biden limiting it to companies with 100 employees or more? If it's an emergency, why is he doing that? And by the way, the Small Business Administration defines a small business as 1,500 employees or less. So by definition, President Biden is placing a big old mandate on small businesses. But if it's an emergency, Joe Biden, why not businesses with 20 employees or businesses with 52 employees? And by the way, if it's an emergency, President Biden, and then I'll get off of this, why are you exempting postal service workers? the United States Postal Service. Did you see that yesterday? Biden comes out and says all federal employees gots to be vaccinated by September whatever. That was another order in addition to the order forcing private companies. He said every public employee needs to be vaccinated except United States Postal Service workers. There are something like 664,000 of them. That's a big old chunk of our federal employee workforce. And Joe Biden is exempting them. The Biden administration said yesterday, we're going to encourage them to get vaccinated. Huh? Some guy out here in America who works for a company that has 105 employees, he's going to be fined, what, $14,000 if he doesn't, per this order, if he doesn't get vaccinated. But if you deliver the mail, you're going to be encouraged to get vaccinated. You see what I mean? Stop that. It's politics. It's the union. It's politics. Why is Joe Biden and the federal government so loath to demand that teachers, public school teachers, get vaccinated? It's politics. It's the power of the teachers union. Same thing with these postal service workers. Come on. You come down and you throw the hammer down yesterday, Joe Biden, but you exempt postal service workers if it's an emergency. But again, this point, and then I'll move. Understand where I'm coming from. I'm pro-vaccine. I spend every day encouraging people in MAGA world to get vaccinated. Every single day I put my head out there and I get pounded every single day. And most everybody pounds me. And every now and then, not more than every now and then, I'm able to convince people to get vaccinated. So I'm out there all the time. I'm pro-vaccine. I support private businesses requiring their employees to get vaccinated. I support that. I support private businesses having that freedom and that power over their employees. Got no problem with that. My problem is with the federal government forcing private businesses to have this requirement. It seems to me the government should not have that authority. It seems to me, my God, the government, and I know, and by the way, I know that ultimately a court may easily decide against what I'm saying because courts have shown over the years great lenience toward government power when it comes to the health of the public, when it comes to things like pandemics. The courts have shown the willingness to greatly expand the powers of government during times of public health crises. So I get it that I could be proven wrong by a court. I don't think it's right. I don't like the fact that the government has the authority to tell a company with 105 employees, you got to require your employees to be vaccinated. I've got no problem with companies on their own doing that. And by the way, one more point on this to all you Trump supporters screaming and hollering yesterday about Biden's unconstitutional edict. He's a tyrant. He's a dictator. Look, Joe, see? I heard tons of this yesterday. Joe, you said, right, every day you cried about what a dictator Donald Trump was. Look what Biden's doing, Joe. Forcing private businesses to do blah, blah, blah. These are the same folks, these megaheads. I say affectionately because they're all like my former supporters. These mega folks bitching and moaning about what Biden did yesterday are the same folks applauding what Abbott down in Texas and DeSantis in Florida did. They did the same thing. Did you hear what I said? Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, did the exact same thing that Joe Biden is proposed to do yesterday, where Joe Biden is proposing to force private businesses to do something. You understand that DeSantis was using government to forbid private businesses to do something. You get that, right? Like, and Abbott as well, but DeSantis in Florida put down a decree from the state government forbidding private businesses to requiring their employees be vaccinated. See, where I come from, that decision is left to the private business. The private business can do what they want to do, he or she wants to do. And I don't like it when the government forbids a private business from doing something or forces a private business to do something. There's no difference. In my mind, they're both authoritarian acts. In my mind, they're both big government unconstitutional acts. There's just no consistency. Everybody is a hypocrite. You love DeSantis having the power to tell businesses what they can and cannot do, but Joe Biden can't do that. And vice versa, right? Plenty of people on the left screaming about what Abbott and DeSantis are doing, using the power of government to lay down the law, but then applauding, golf claps, applauding what Biden's doing. It won't win me any brownie points, but I tend to be pretty damn consistent. I got a problem with both. This will play out in the courts. Here is the point I wanted to make. I think Biden's made some mistakes in how he's attacked COVID. Some of these mandates, this one especially, I think is a mistake. Some of the messaging, some of the Biden administration's messaging on COVID has been really confusing. I believe that Team Biden from the outset in pushing the vaccine should have been much stronger. Get vaccinated and your world's going to change. Get vaccinated and you can be free. Get vaccinated and baby, you're back. I think that should have been the message. But the Biden administration was when I say the Biden administration, I'm talking about the CDC. I'm talking about everybody working under President Biden, way too cautious, sending mixed signals. Get vaccinated, but you still got to do this. Get vaccinated, but you're still under threat. Get vaccinated, but the unvaccinated are still a big threat to you. Mixed messaging, I think, confused people and did make people less enthusiastic to get vaccinated. Team Biden's made some mistakes. But man, I got to call out some bullshit. I got to say something. Cuz I'm hearing a lot of people, even conservative never Trumper types, calling out some of the mistakes Biden's made with COVID and saying just like Trump. See, Biden's no better than Trump. See, Biden's been sending bad messaging just like Trump. And the media jumped all over Trump last year for everything Trump did, and so many people died, but they're giving Biden a pass. Look at the Delta. If Trump, I heard this week, if Trump were president right now, man, all we'd be talking about is how many people are dying every day, and it's all Trump's fault. But Biden gets a pass. Biden's no better than Trump when it comes to COVID. I'm hearing a lot of that. And that is utter fucking bullshit. And I just need to respond with this. I believe the greatest power a president has is the bully pulpit, is the microphone, right? The greatest power a president has is the ability to get in front of a microphone any minute of every day, of any day, and persuade, dissuade, or encourage. The greatest power a president has is what that president tells the American people. No other position in the country has that power. No other position in the country has that bully pulpit. No other position in the world. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, they can get in front of they can get on national TV any second they want. They can deliver any nationwide message they want to deliver. Look, and by the way, I believe this was by design. Our founders set it up this way. Our founders believed that, look, the legislative branch had the bulk of the real power, the real authority to do shit. And by the way, that's one of my biggest problems, again, with what Biden said yesterday. This executive order forcing companies to do X. Where the hell's Congress? You want to do it? How about a law? How about Congress does their job? I don't agree with it, but you want to do something? Pass a law. That's what our founders thought. Our founders did not give the president, on paper, a hell of a lot of power. Now, that's been flipped on its head and abused the past 100 or so years. But on paper, the presidency doesn't have a lot of power. But what the presidency has that no member of Congress has, that no CEO has, that no professional athlete has, what a president has is the bully pulpit, the power to persuade. And when it comes to the bully pulpit, there's no comparison between how Trump and Biden have used their bully pulpits. So don't give me this bullshit that Joe Biden is every bit as bad about COVID as Trump is. No, not even fucking close. Donald Trump, while he was president, used his bully pulpit to do everything that's wrong when it comes to COVID. When it comes to COVID, Donald Trump used his bully pulpit to persuade the American people to do the wrong thing. Day after day, repeatedly, Donald Trump used his bully pulpit to lie about this virus from the beginning, to downplay this virus from the beginning. President Trump used his bully pulpit to discourage people to wear masks. He used his bully pulpit to discourage people to social distance. And my God, in the end, he used his bully pulpit to discourage people to get vaccinated. His vaccines. Trump used his bully pulpit to persuade the American people to do the wrong thing, the bad thing, when it came to this virus. I mean, my God, he used his bully pulpit from the beginning to lie about the virus. I've said it a million times before. Can you imagine if Donald Trump had taken the virus seriously from the beginning? If he had used his bully pulpit from the beginning and stood in front of the American people and said, my God, we're at war. We're at war against a once-in-a-lifetime virus. Everybody buckle up, strap up. Let's get serious. Let's beat this fucking thing. Here's what we have to do to win. Trump did the exact opposite. He lied to us. He said it was no big deal. And then he encouraged us to do the wrong thing. Mistakes aside, Joe Biden, mistakes aside, Joe Biden from day one has used his bully pulpit to encourage us to do the right thing. Look, I don't believe in some of these government compelled mask mandates. But Joe Biden from day one has been vaccine mandates, Joe Biden from day one has been imploring us to get vaccinated. There's no comparison. Donald Trump, this past week, he was on some goofy Fox News show, still equivocating about whether you should get vaccinated or not. There's no comparison. Getting vaccinated is good. Getting vaccinated saves lives. The former president discouraged us from getting vaccinated. The current president has been begging us to get vaccinated. There's no comparison in how these two presidents have used the bully pulpit. Joe Biden has been encouraging us to do the right thing day after day. Policy-wise, sure, some mistakes have been made. But there's no comparison between how these two presidents, and by the way, when I say because of what Donald Trump said, 665,000 Americans are dead. 400,000 of them died because of what this president did, because of how this president lied and downplayed and told the American people to do the wrong thing all year last year. Americans died needlessly, directly because of that. You can't blame Biden, right? Americans are dying because they're not getting vaccinated. Americans were dying last year because they wouldn't wear masks and they wouldn't social distance because they didn't take this thing seriously. That's all at the feet of Trump. And by the way, Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, Mark Levin, all the rest of them. But you can't put that at the feet of Biden. Biden has been telling people, begging people, imploring people to get vaccinated, and still people aren't getting vaccinated, and they're dying because they're not vaccinated. But that's not Biden's fault. Hell, it's still Trump's fault because he's still telling people not to get vaccinated. By the way, it's still Hannity's fault and Tucker Carlson's fault because even now they're still telling people not to get vaccinated. There's no comparison between Trump and Biden on how they have handled this virus. And then I'm done. The single most effective thing anybody can do to make sure you don't get really sick and die from this virus is to get vaccinated. The single most important thing you can do. And we had one president who still is discouraging people to get vaccinated. And by the way, he got vaccinated. And we have another president who is encouraging people, begging people to get vaccinated. Two completely different uses of the bully pulpit. I'm Joe Walsh. This is Fuck Silence. Thanks for listening. Go to fsilencepodcast.com, F as in Frank, fsilencepodcast.com. Go there. Please subscribe, like, share, rate, all that stuff. fsilencepodcast.com. If you subscribe, by the way, you'll know, and I'm getting there. I'm close, baby. You will be the first to know what I'm about to launch. I'm about to launch something really new and cool. This voice, if you like this voice, there's going to be a big, new, exciting platform for this voice that you can be aware of and be part of. And if you want to know about it, subscribe to the F Silence Podcast, fsilencepodcast.com. You can also send me an email, joewalshshow1@gmail.com, joewalshshow, 1 @gmail.com. Shoot me an email. I'll put you on a list. You'll know exactly what I am about to do here soon, within the next couple of weeks. I'm really excited about it. And I think you will be too. God bless you all. As always, be brave. Be brave.